My answer is this. Nothing. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate. I always think of The Freshman when I think of that line. That's the first time I saw any of Godfather Part 2 was from the movie from, was it 1990, I think? With Matthew Broderick and Marlon Brando, the Freshman. So I always think about that. As a matter of fact, that's the only reason I knew any dialogue from Godfather Part 2, even though I've seen it quite a few times in recent years. I was like, yeah, I know that line for sure, because the stupid freaking film teacher says it in The Freshman. The answer is this, or my answer is this. Nothing. Anyway, welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. So last year, was it last year? It might have been last year, 2024. Within the last year or so, I started this kind of more or less pathetic and or both questionable practice of, like, if I come across a VHS tape that's factory sealed that I kind of, like the movie, that I kind of, if the price is okay, I actually been buying it to just not only have but also showcase on the channel. And continuing in 2025, the questionable practice of buying factory sealed VHS cassettes, decades old. And although it's kind of a bummer this cassette doesn't have a watermark on the factory sealed wrapping, I can only deduce possibly it's because the title is maybe actually manufactured in the somewhere in the maybe mid-90s, more or less, something possible. But at any rate, I can tell it's actually genuinely factory sealed, as we'll get into, because of the way the shrink wrap is on the cassette. But when I came across this, even though it doesn't have the watermark, unfortunately, on the wrapping, I still couldn't pass it up, because it's not something you come across every day. Stopping on by today to showcase this factory sealed North American VHS release of The Godfather Part 2. As we can see on the back top corner, TM and copyright 1990, Paramount Pictures, all rights reserved. Even though the copyright year on the packaging says 1990, my guess is this is more closer to maybe 93, 94, 95, somewhere around there, for reasons we'll get into as we get closer in to the showcasing portion of this video, which is going to happen right now. Taking a closer look at the front cover, really simple back in the day. Obviously this is what the cover art looked like from 1990 on. I can't remember what the cover art looked like before 1990, but this is what the VHS cover looked like from 1990 on until they changed it again for The Godfather Part 2. You've got the classic logo up top there, very simple. This kind of, I guess, I don't know, is this kind of masquerades as a painting of Michael Corleone. So I guess I'll just more or less assume this is a painting of the character. It's kind of interesting for such a huge epic movie. They just kind of use such a simple front cover and just Mr. Michael Corleone there. Does he have a cigarette in between his fingers? Yeah, possibly. But kind of curious, honestly, that they use this image for the VHS cover art of The Godfather Part 2, but they do. A simple cover for a simpler time. Taking a look at the right spine, you can see the spine is twice as wide as a normal video cassette release. Because this movie is so long, they need 2 video cassettes to fit it on. On top of the spine you can see a still from The Godfather Part 2. And because of the dual cassette nature of this release, they're actually able to have The Godfather Part 2 printed this way. If you're standing this double cassette release up with the cover facing you, The Godfather Part 2 on the spine is actually upright as well. Normally, obviously, if you've got a single cassette release, the title runs from the top to the bottom, or the bottom to the top, depending on what they're feeling like at the time. This time they're doing it a bit different. Catalog number 8459, and the early 90s Paramount logo can be found on the bottom. And taking a look at the left spine, it seems to be identical to the right spine. Taking a look at the top of this video cassette release, or I guess I should say dual video cassette release, kind of interesting how they didn't necessarily, well, I guess they kind of do utilize the dual cassette release nature of, having twice the space on the top of the video cassette cover to deal with. I guess they kind of utilize it. They basically use one of the cassettes for The Godfather Part 2, and the other cassette is for just a bunch of darkness. Catalog number, release year of the film 1974, color 200 minutes, that's a long movie, rated R, and the Paramount logo from 1990. It's interesting how they, underneath it, on the spine, they included a Paramount Communications company, but on top of the video cassette release, they omit that aspect of the Paramount logo. Taking a look at the back, top corner, this information we've already seen, copyright information, Paramount logo. Other top corner, a white rectangle with your barcode, and audio information as well. In this case, hi-fi playback requires hi-fi. VCR makes sense to me. VHS hi-fi. Then in true early 90s fashion, we've just got one image to represent this 200-minute epic below the Godfather Part 2 logo. Basically Michael Corleone going in or out of the whatever hearings that take place sometime in the course of this 200-minute long epic sequel to The Godfather. This brilliant companion piece to the original The Godfather continues the saga of 2 generations of successive power within the Corleone family. Coppola tells 2 stories in Part 2, the roots and rise of a young Don Vito, played with uncanny ability by Robert De Niro, and the ascension of Michael as the new Don, reassembling many of the talents who helped make The Godfather. Coppola has produced a movie of staggering magnitude and vision, and undeniably the best sequel ever made. Robert De Niro won an Oscar. The film received 12 Academy Award nominations and was named Best Picture. Underneath the synopsis, you've got abbreviated credits, and I don't know if you'll be able to tell in the photograph of the back cover, but the way you can tell this is an authentic factory sealed video cassette release is on the back. The kind of, like I say, you might not be able to tell on the photo, but in reality you can discern the overlapping nature of the basically the factory wrapping, the clear factory wrapping that overlaps on the back. I'm pretty sure that's something that people can't do at home with a little shrink wrap, home shrink wrap in a heat gun thing. I think that's kind of a, even though they don't have a watermark on this wrapping, I think that's still kind of a way to indicate that this is in fact factory sealed. One of the reasons I think this is more 93, 94, 95-ish, or even possibly beyond, is just because of the fact that they just don't bother with the watermark anymore on the packaging. So, and there's another thing we'll get into very shortly here as well that indicates it's probably more of 93, 94, 95, maybe even later video cassette release. And we're coming right up to that detail now. As you can see in the bottom here, this little, looks like a Band-Aid thing, but in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, these stickers, these security stickers, would actually be of a holographic nature. And this looks more like just a boring old brown Band-Aid. But this to me is more of an indicator that this is probably closer to a mid-90s release, because they got rid of the watermark, and they also got rid of the holographic sticker. Maybe the holographic sticker was to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Paramount that took place in 1987, and by the time this video cassette was manufactured, they're just like, the hell with that, costs too much money, we'll just put a Band-Aid on it. Taking a look at the bottom, we can see the factory sealed nature of this video cassette dual release. As you can see, this boring Band-Aid kind of goes from the bottom of the back cover onto one of the cassettes, and then you have another security sticker that looks like a Band-Aid sticking from that cassette to the other cassette. They don't want to have it ruin the front cover, so they just stick it on the back on one cassette, and then from that cassette onto another cassette. So I think all of these details, indicate, even though this doesn't have watermark on the wrapping, I think all these other details, like the overlapping nature of the shrink wrap and these security stickers, would indicate that this is an authentic factory sealed video cassette release. So lucky me, yet another video cassette of the factory sealed variety to add to my ever-growing video cassette collection of factory sealed video cassettes. So like I say, kind of a questionable hobby, questionable practice, but there's a lot more pathetic hobbies out there that I could get into, but to keep this video shorter, I won't get into at this time. Guess that pretty much does it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.